Chipita's Journey by Anne Carmichael. Illustrations by Summer Rain. On a little farm in Mexico lived a happy little old lady named Amelia Louisa. Amelia Louisa raised chickens that gave her fresh eggs and goats that gave her milk to drink and make cheese. There were cats that lived in the barn and caught mice, and an old yellow dog that slept on the porch round the clock. Every day Amelia pounded corn into meal to make tortillas on an open fire. She filled the tortillas with vegetables from her garden and slices of goat cheese. If they were lucky, the cats would get a sip of milk from the bottom of the pail or a sliver of cheese that dropped onto the floor. Sometimes Amelia pretended to accidentally drop a warm tortilla and allow the dog to scurry away to his hiding place under the porch. Amelia Louisa was also a fine artist who made beautiful pottery out of the rich red clay from the hillside near her home. She spent many hours working at the pottery wheel in a stall in the barn. Once she had a good collection of pots, she would wrap them carefully and haul them on a little wooden wagon to the marketplace in the nearby town, where she would sell them to tourists. Sometimes a piece of pottery would get broken. Amelia Louisa would toss the broken pot into the corner of the barn in hopes that she might be able to mend it later. One night, a tiny kitten with a belly swollen from too much milk climbed into one of the broken pots for a cozy nap. The next morning, Amelia Louisa decided to mend some of the broken pottery so she'd have more to sell at market. She retrieved the cracked pot in which the tiny kitten was cozily sleeping. The kitten was so comfortable that she curled even tighter near the bottom of the pot. Amelia Louisa's eyesight was not as good as it had been when she was younger, so the little kitten went undetected as she sealed the crack in the pot and painted it with bright colors. By the time the kitten awoke, a tourist was examining the various pots in a booth at the market. The lady loved the pattern and colors on the pot containing the hidden kitten. She handed Amelia Louisa a few pesos and asked her to wrap the pot in some fabric she also bought. The kitten began to howl, but the marketplace was very busy, and the voices of the shoppers so loud that no one heard her cries. The tourist stuffed the pot into her carry-on bag and drove off to the airport for her flight home. At the airport, the customs officer quickly ran the pot through the conveyor belt. The kitten was clinging to the bottom of the pot and again went unnoticed. The sound of the plane's engines frightened the little kitten, and her little heart nearly beat out of her chest as she bounced from one side in the bag beneath the plane's seat. When the plane landed, the lady tossed her bag in the back of a taxi and gave the driver her home address. As soon as the lady set the bag down inside her house, the kitten began to howl and paw at the pot, causing it to sway back and forth. Finally, the bag tipped over, and the pot rolled out onto the marble entryway floor, where it broke. The kitten ran across the room and hid under the nearest chair.
Why,
"Where did you come from, little one?" asked the lady. "You must have been so scared inside that pot and on the airplane. Oh my goodness, you must be starved to death. How long have you been sealed up in that pot?" With that, the lady ran into the kitchen and opened a can of tuna. The kitten came running and jumped right up onto the counter to devour the tasty treat. A loud noise made the kitten stop eating for a moment. The noise happened again and again. What was that sound coming from the lady's nose? It shook her entire body and caused her eyes to water. Achoo! "Oh dear, you're so sweet. I was hoping I'd outgrown the allergy to cats I had as a child. I guess not. Well, we'll think about that tomorrow. For tonight you can sleep on some nice soft towels in the laundry room. Tomorrow I'll see about finding you a good home." On the way to work the next morning, the lady dropped the little kitten off at the local animal shelter. They promised to find her a good home. She was checked by some doctors in white coats and then bathed by some ladies with long rubber gloves. She got some good food and fell into a deep sleep for the rest of the night. For days, people peered into the little glass cubby that now seemed to be home. She was well cared for and well fed, but she was lonely. The other cats weren't friendly, and she didn't even want to think about the dogs she heard barking day and night. They scared her. One Saturday morning, a lovely young girl and handsome young man opened the door to the cat sanctuary and began looking at all the adoptable cats. The older cats didn't even bother to wake up anymore. They knew that most people wanted kittens or young cats. They used to make them sad, but now they knew they might never find a forever home. Some of the kittens and young cats did tricks to impress the visitors. They turned on their backs and pawed at the air and showed the visitors their very cutest faces. The little Mexican kitten went to the front of her cage and sat very still and very straight and looked deep into the lady's eyes. Her eyes were a beautiful shade of blue. Only a few cats have blue eyes, and hers had a fiery sparkle to them. The girl saw something special in the kitten's eyes. She noticed how soft and plush the kitten's fur was. It was the color of sand with beautiful darker markings. She really was a remarkably beautiful kitten. The girl whispered something to her friend, and he reached into the cubby and retrieved the little kitten. Moments later, they were in their car on the way home. And this is Chip with 2 P's. She's a female Mexican Siamese mixed cat that is the real Chipita. She was part of a Mexican rescue project in Coon Rapids, Minnesota, near Minneapolis, and she now lives with Hannah and Hayden and a dog named Fox, who's a service dog, in Minneapolis. And if you'd like to have this book for your very own, just go to Amazon.com and type in Chipita's Journey. Thank you for listening.